This is my video for the Talking Maths in Public animation generation collaboration for July. The prompt for July is to create an animation showing that a reflection followed by another reflection is equivalent to a rotation. I'm going to do this in GeoGebra, and here's the file that I'm going to make. I'll run through that quickly first and then I will make it. So we start with a polygon that's going to be reflected and rotated. We've got a slider that controls what appears on the screen. So as we move to step 1, create a line to reflect the shape in, and then reflect the shape, create another line to reflect it the second time, and then reflect that first reflection. Find the intersect of the two lines because that's the point that it will need to rotate around. Find the angle that it will need to rotate. And then show another slider, and this is the angle that's rotated by. So if we now move to this one, and we can move that along like that, and it will rotate the shape around, and it will end up fitting perfectly on the reflection of the reflection. So now I shall run through how to make that. Okay, I'll start by getting rid of the axes and the grid because we don't really need those. And I want to create a polygon to reflect, so I use the polygon tool to do that. I think everything in this file can be done using the point and click menu items. There's no coding in this one. So I just create a polygon. I want something that's not symmetrical so it's easy to see when it's been reflected. Then I want two lines that it will be reflected in. So that's the line tool up here, and you just click 2 points and it creates a line through those points. To reflect the shape in the lines, we use the reflect object in line tool. Click on the shape and click on the line that you want to reflect it in. So I do that once and then once again. I wanted the intersection of the 2 points, so that's the intersect tool of the two lines So click on the two lines and it finds the point of intersection. And then I want to find the angle that it needs to be rotated by. So I'm going to just draw some segments so that we can see what the angle is. So I take it from that point to the intersection. I'm just going to check which. Okay, so then that's that point there. And then I can use the angle tool to create the angle between those points. I think I actually want to do that the other way around so that it can rotate this way around. So that's all the bits that I want for my first slider. So I'll now create the slider. I'll call it step. And I think there were 7 steps, so we go from 0 to 7 in steps of 1. And how I'm going to create the animation is to set for each object, set whether it's visible or not depending on the value of this step slider. So my first polygon, I want that always to be visible, so that's fine. I'm just going to hide all the points actually, because I think I want those left alone. Okay, so my first polygon, I want that always to be visible. Then step 1 creates the line. So if I go into the advanced tab of the properties and condition to show object, I can set step greater than or equal to 1, and then that will hide that unless step is bigger than 1. And then this next polygon, I want step greater than or equal to 2. Oops, don't want that bracket. I need to do all the line segments that make up the polygon as well. Then I want to show this line, step 3. Show this polygon and all the lines as well. To do this drag, I'm right clicking and dragging, and then that will select everything that's in that square. So this was step greater than or equal to 4. Then I want the intersection point, which I've actually already hidden, so that's the black one here, all the other ones were blue, so point L. So say that greater than or equal to 5. And then the angle and these two line segments, step greater than or equal to 6. Thought I'd done that point, but obviously not. Maybe I did something else instead. Let's have a look. Line, reflection, line, second reflection, intersect, angle. Lovely. So now I want to create the shape to rotate, or create the rotation of the shape. So it's going to rotate around this point, so I'm going to call that point, I'm going to give it a name so I can refer back to it. I'll call that intersect, or intersection. And I want to name this angle as well, because that's how far it's going to have to rotate around. So I'll call that R for rotation. So I'm going to create a second slider, which will be the angle. So I'll make this an angle slider. I want it to go from 0 up until I want the angle, this angle of rotation to be the maximum. So that was called that R, so I'll put that in there. And now it's created a slider, and the maximum is the same as this angle here. And that will change, so if I changed where these shapes were or where the lines were, let's show the points again briefly. If I move those lines so the angle changes, then the maximum value of the slider has changed to match that. So that will always match up. So now I can use the rotate around a point tool, and I'll click on my initial polygon and the intersection point. The angle I want it to rotate is the angle in this slider. I'm actually going to give that a nicer name that I can use. I'm going to call it angle because it's going to be a pain typing those Greek letters in. So we do that again. So rotate around point, rotate the polygon around the intersection point. Angle is angle, and I want it to go that way, which is clockwise. And that looks good. It seems to be doing what I want it to do. And then I don't want this to appear or the slider to be visible until the step gets up to 7. So let's set that. There we go. So that's the basics of showing that a reflection or two reflections is equal to a rotation. There are some things that we can do to make it look a bit nicer. So I'm going to make all my lines dashed, so that's in the style properties of the property box, style tab, sorry, and you have the line style that you can choose them to be dashed. I think I want my polygons to all be different colours, and I'm going to do it so that I'm going to use the advanced properties to make this rotated polygon start off the same colour as this polygon and end up the same colour as this polygon. So to do this, I'm going to use this advanced tab to set the colours. So I'm going to set this first one to blue, so that we'll have 0 for red, 0 for green, and 1 for blue. I want all the segments as well. Okay, the second one I'm going to have green, so 0, 1, 0, and the third one I'm going to have red, 1, 0, 0. I want to set the colour of this polygon based on the value of angle and how far it's got around this rotation angle here. So I want the red value to be 1 when it's got all the way around, so when angle is the same as this angle. So that's going to be angle divided by r. So r is the value of this rotation here. I want green to be 0 all the time. I never want any green in that case, that shape. And I want blue to be 1 when it's all the way over here, so when it hasn't moved at all. So that will be 1 minus angle divided by r. I don't know why it pops up this little redefine box every time I change the colour, but we can just cancel that. So now when I change angle, the colour of this shape should change. I should have done the same for all the segments as well, so I'll just quickly do that. It's showing up as if I've already done it because it's picking up the value that I've set for the polygon. But then when I just go into the box and click enter on all of them, that applies it to the line segments as well. And I think just to show it a bit more, I'm going to set the opacity to, let's try setting that to 1. Let's make it a little bit, so you can see through it a little bit. Just so that you can see that it's a different shape when it's landing on top. So now you can see it smoothly changes colour as the value of that angle slider changes. The last thing that I'm going to do is on my other file, I don't think I showed it, but I had a checkbox to show the points so that I could move the shape and just make it into something different, move the lines around so that I could see that happening and see what happens when you do that. So to do that, we've got a checkbox here. I'm going to call it show points. So that show points is the value that appears on here. The actual name of the checkbox for some reason is L, so I'll just rename that to show points because that makes a bit more sense. And the points that I want to show are the ones on this initial polygon, because everything else, all the other polygons will change based on that, and the points that create the two lines. So can I work out what those ones are? If I order by construction order, then these first points should be the ones in the initial polygon. Yeah, so if I select condition to show object to show points, then I can toggle those on and off. And then I want the two lines, so I can see my two lines here, so it'll be these points just above them. So I'll do the same for those. So now I can change the points of this shape, and all the corresponding shapes change, and the rotation still works. And I can change where the lines are, and that changes where the reflected shapes are. The rotation will still work. I could do something clever to make, if I wanted to animate it without clicking on things, I could do something to make the angle start moving when we got to step 7. I did something similar in the previous video using GeoGebra, which showed the net of a polygon opening and closing. So if you want to do something like that, then you have a look at that video, and it involves setting some code on the slider in the scripting tab. But I'm not going to do that right now. So this is my finished animation. So I can show the reflection, the second reflection, how we need to rotate it, and then I can rotate it all the way around. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the YouTube comments, and I'll also put a version of this file online which you can have a look at yourself, and I'll put a link to that in the description.